Namaskar. Welcome to this session. We are considering the teleology of Drushya, the scene category. The whole scene category exists for Purusha Tattva. And therefore, we were saying during the end of the last session that it won't be a proper question to say why God created all this, which is only vexation for us, tormentation for us. So it would have been better if the divinity had not created the creation at all. So that is very absurd point of view. Now, proceeding on the same topic further, we have to understand that the very essence of the scene category, Drishyam, a very centric aspect of Prakriti, is to serve the purpose of Purusha. So all those things don't have their own purpose. The inner things don't have their own purpose. Prakriti, which is Jada Tattva, cannot have its own purpose. And its purpose is serving the purpose of Purusha Tattva. Now we know the objects which are Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, which give us Anukula Vedaniyam Sukham and Pratikula Vedaniyam Dukkham. So sometimes they are desirable to us and we enjoy them, relish them. Sometimes they are undesirable to us and we are tormented. Now this Anukulata and Pratikulata is to we ourselves and not for themselves. So they don't have their own Anukulya and Pratikulya. It is the Purusha Tattva, living principle, the sentient principle, which finds that something is desirable, something is undesirable, something is joyous and something is sorrowful. The point is this Anukulata, Pratikulata or Anukulyam and Pratikulyam is not in themselves or is not with reference to themselves, but it is with reference to Purusha Tattvam. So this has to be understood here. And that is why it gets proved that there is pararthatva in them. So this is the technical term which yoga philosophy uses, pararthatvam, pararthatvat. So the Drushya gets proved to be having pararthatvam. That means it is meant for someone else and not meant for itself. The whole Prakriti is not meant for itself but meant for someone else. So whole existence of the Drushya Tattva, Prakriti, nature, is not for itself, but it is for someone else. Now who is this someone else? The someone else is Purusha Tattva, Atma Tattva, Atma Chaitanya. And therefore once yogi gets Purusha Khyati or Sattva Purusha Anyata Khyati, or the discrimination between the self and non-self, there is no need of Prakriti for such a Vivekin. Then what happens to this Drushya Tattva when yogi gets Vivekakhyati, yogi gets Sattva Purusha Anyata Khyati? So Vyasa tells us here, Tat Svarupam Pararupena Pratilabdhatmakam Bhoga Apavargatayam Krutayam Purushena Na Drushyate iti. So once this Purusha Khyati is had, so he says, Tat Svarupam, that is the Svarupam of the Drushya Tattva. We have seen Tadarthaiva Drushyasya Atma. The purpose of Purusha itself is its essence. Now, when its Swarupam has been now accomplished, now there is no Swarupam left that it should be serving the Purusha, and then when it starts appearing as Pararupena. So it starts becoming other thing, not one's own thing or oneself itself. See, as long as we have this bandha, we think we are buddhi, we are intelligence, we are aham, we are our mind. Now once the Vivekakhyati is had, then yogi realizes that the mind is something else, the I-ness is something else, the buddhi is something else. So it starts appearing pararupena. Now it doesn't remain swa, it becomes para. So Purusha has a realization that it is other than itself. So it becomes a foreign entity. It becomes foreign entity. And when it is so had, when it is so pratilabdha, that is Vivekakhyati. So Vivekakhyati gives rise to this realization of reality, that it is not me, it is for me, it is mine. My mind is not myself, it is for me. So then the purposiveness for Prakriti with regards to that yogi ceases to be there. And therefore, na drushyate iti, then it no longer remains as drushya. It no longer remains as seen category for him. That means it goes away. The Prakriti for Viveka Prapta Yogi goes away. And thereafter, it is not seen. It no longer remains a seen category. So, Bhasyakara is telling us that Vivekakhyati is what will remove that soul of Prakriti. Now, if the soul of Prakriti is removed, it is not going to exist. And until the dawn of Vivekakhyati, we think that we are that Jada Buddhi. We identify ourselves with that Buddhi Tattva, Buddhi Sattva. We think that is me. So, we all know what is me, but when Viveki gets to know what is he, then the Prakriti seizes the purpose for him. And therefore it becomes Pararupena. A discernment becomes Pararupena, that it is something else and not me, myself. So what we think as me, myself is now no longer me, myself. So it becomes something that is not me, something that is not mine, and now that is not even for me. And that is Apavarga Prapti. When Apavarga is attained, the Prakriti loses the purpose with regards to that particular yogi, and therefore it doesn't remain for the yogi. It will cease to exist for him. And of course, as Patanjali himself has made this clear, kritartham pratinashtam. In one of the sutras, kritartham pratinashtam. So, with regards to kritartha yogi, viveka prapta yogi, nashtam, it is lost. So, what Vyasa has told us here, that bhoga apavarga are the two purusharthas. When a yogi is bhoga apavarga sampanna, that means accomplished, both are accomplished, such purusha is called kritartha purusha. Technically, he is called kritartha, and therefore the drishya doesn't exist for him. Now in Neo-Adhya, we have a concept called Jivana-mukta. The Mayavadins have introduced a concept called Jivana-mukta. So, that means even after that ultimate and final knowledge, that person is still existing. He is dehadhari. He is having the corporeal body with him. Now, although he is having a corporeal body, he is declared to be Jivana-mukta. In Neo-Adhyatma that has come from Mayavada. And then it is quite a poetic description of such a yogi, or such a realized person, soul-realized, self-realized person, that still the body is lingering, still the body is existing. Now, Patanjalas are refuting such postulation. It is not possible that even after self-realization, the body is lingering, the Prakriti in the form of body-mind complex is lingering. So this has been set aside by Patanjalas, and they do not entertain such a poetic concept that it's a self-realized person, but yet now he is free from clutches or bondages, but yet the body is existing for some time. As long as the person doesn't die, the life is something like a Jivana-mukta. So, it doesn't seem to be kritartham pratinashtam if we entertain the concept of Jivana-mukta as presented by spiritualists, Nava-Adhyatmavadis, and of course Mayavadins. So Mayavadin, they have a concept of Jivana-mukta. And their position is like this. When they realize Jivatmaikya or Jiva Brahmaikya, that is the Paramartha Jnanam for them. Jiva Brahmaikya, that means Jiva Brahmaivana Paraha. This realization is supreme realization for them. That's the summit of knowledge. Now, if this is ultimate attainment, then still the mukti has not happened. And then the mukti would be happening in a piecemeal manner. This is not right. And Patanjalas do not endorse with such idea. That means the body is a parasite. For one who has realized, according to the Mayavadins, Jiva Brahmaikya Jnanam, So despite the Jivana-mukta jnanam, the body is still lingering. So it's like a parasite. So maybe it should be called as quasi-liberation, a partial liberation, ardhamukti. So in mukti, in liberation, there is nothing like ardhamukti and purna mukti. Mukti is mukti. There is no compartmental or partial mukti and complete mukti. This is not even endorsed by Shrutis. This is not endorsed by even Upanishads and Vedanta, which is to be found in scriptures. So, when the ajnana is gone, now to have a body is itself is ajnanam. So even after paramartha satya, paramarthik satya realized, it is eclipsing liberation. So therefore, this is a poetic idea of Jivana-mukti that one gets in Neo-Vedantic granthas and Mayavadins Prakarana granthas. That means the ajnanam is still eclipsing the jnanam. So, does it happen that the imposition of snake on rope continues to linger even after it is realized that what is at sight is rope? So, it doesn't happen like that. Once you realize that that is not a snake but a rope, the imposition is gone. So the Brahma goes away. But the thing is that all the Brahma is gone, still the heart is palpitating. The effect of the petrification caused by illusion still continues. The heart is still beating fast. The heartbeat is beating fast. So the Mayavadins have their argument that it is like that. It's not that your fear is gone that moment. Maybe fear is gone, but your heart is still palpitating for some time. They give another example of Kulala Chakra, the potterman's wheel. So when the potterman stops giving momentum to the wheel is still rotating for a while. It is going to stop after a while. It is not that the wheel stops at that moment when he is no more trying to give motion to it by his stick. It continues to rotate for some time. Similarly, they say that the Jivana-mukta is continuing to have his body for some time. It is a momentum of bandha which has been there for long time. So this is how they try to justify their position. But it doesn't stand reason. Because in the example that they have given, Kulala Chakra, the potterman's wheel, or even after the illusion in the eyes has gone, now the defect in eyes is also sadrupa, existent. The Kulala Chakra is also existent. But avidya cannot be said to be sadrupa. You see, the rope and snake illusion, the snake is real. Rope is also real. Rope is also sadrupa, snake is also sadrupa. While in avidya, you can't say avidya is also sadrup. Avidya is not sadrupa. So therefore, the example with which they are trying to justify their position itself is unjustifiable and doesn't stand reason. So it doesn't stand reason to say that the Bheda Jnanam is continuing even after Abheda Jnanam is attained. Because avidya is actually mithya. It is non-existent, it is imposition. So asadrup vidya has sadrup karyam, that the Jivan-mukta is continuing to have the body still on, doesn't stand reason. In case of potterman's wheel, the gati samskars are there, and that is why the wheel is moving. Otherwise, the wheel won't be moving. So, mukti being freedom from embodiment can in no case be freedom in embodiment. This is the position of the Advaitins. So they say Jnanottar Prarabdhavashat, there is Dehadharanam. The body is there, Prarabdhavashat. The ultimate knowledge has dawned. But because of the Prarabdha, Dehadharanam is on, and then Deha Vyapara is also on. Now this is contradictory. Paramartha Jnana or dislodgement of avidya. What is this Jnana? What is that Jnana which dislodges avidya, or what is that which is Paramartha Jnana? Is it Jiva Brahmaika Jnana? For them, that is only ultimate Jnana. Now, Brahma itself, on the other hand, they say, Brahma is only Sat. And outside Brahma, other than Brahman, there is nothing that is existent. Now, when there is Paramarthic Jnana attained, final Jnana dawned, how come that there is still this existence of the Jagat? And how is the existence of the effect of non-existent Maya? For them, the Maya really doesn't exist. Now, then the body embodiment is nothing but manifestation of Maya. Now it should be going away. So they have internal contradictions when they postulate Jivana-mukta. So, Deha, the body, is nothing but manifestation of samskaras. And karma samskar is avidyajanya. The karma samskars are born of avidya. Therefore, avidya is not sadrupa. And therefore, all its functions are also not sadrupa. They are not of the nature of truth. If avidya itself is untrue, its functions cannot be true. So, the akhya jnanam will not really set aside bheda jnana. Akhya jnanam cannot continue the vyapara of bheda jnanam, because body is outcome of bheda jnanam. Now, after akhya jnanam, it is not proper to still maintain that the manifestation and function of Bheda Jnana is on. So what is this Jivana-mukti? Yes, Patanjalas also have a concept of Jivana-mukti, but their connotation is totally different than the popular connotation that is there in Neo-Adhya. So Patanjala's concept of Jivana-mukti is that this is the last embodiment, and therefore there won't be reincarnation thereafter. There won't be reappearance in any form thereafter. So Jivana-mukti means hereafter there won't be reincarnation. So one is free from rebirth. This is going to be the ultimate incarnation. There won't be punarjanma thereafter. That is the meaning of Jivana-mukti in Patanjala system. Patanjalas do have a concept of Jivana-mukti, but that is totally a different connotation. This is what we have to understand. And therefore, we also now have to understand there are two kinds of mukti, Videha mukti and Jivana mukti, which the Mayavadins are accepting, because they have already postulated Jivana-mukta avastha, which is Brahmaikya Jnanam, therefore Bheda Jnanam is gone, but yet the body is lingering as a parasite. And therefore they have two kinds of muktis which they have postulated. They call it is Jivana-mukti and Videha mukti. Videha means becoming free from embodiment, Vigata Deha. And therefore they postulate two kinds of muktis to accommodate their concept of mukti. Anyway, we have seen the difference between Patanjala's concept of Jivana-mukti. He is called Charamadehi. So until the Deha is there, the avidya is not really gone. And we will see later, Patanjala is mentioning the process of Kaivalyam. So in Kaivalyam, there is Gunanam Pratiprasavaha. And therefore, there will be no place for body. So you can't be expecting someone with body but in liberation, which is a new Adhyatmic concept. And therefore, they postulate two kinds of muktis, Jivana-mukti, that means although having body, mukta. Videha-mukti means not having body and therefore mukta. Anyway, let it be as it may. Let's proceed here. In all the Prakriti exists, or its existence is Purusha Sapeksha. It is dependent on Purusha. It is not something altogether different. Because of Purusha, there is Prakriti. Purusha Sapeksha. It is Purusha dependent. And therefore, if the Purusha doesn't need it, it won't be there. It doesn't exist on its own. There is Purusha Sapekshatvam, Purusha relativity, then only it exists. And this is clear in Patanjala's treatise. Now, if this is Purusha Sapeksha, then comes another question here. That whether it is Purusha Sapeksha, is it Purusha Samanya Sapeksha or Purusha Vishesha Sapeksha? And you very well know that Purusha Vishesha is Ishvara. So whether the Prakriti is Ishvara Sapeksha or Purusha Samanya Sapeksha. Purusha Samanya means all other jivas. So let's proceed on this problem that has been presented. The Purusha Samanyas the ordinary mortal finite self. The finite self, when it has its purpose served, yet the Prakriti remains, although not for him. Krutartham pratinashtam api anashtam tadanya sadharanatvat. By one yogi, purpose accomplished, Prakriti doesn't live for him, exist for him, yet it exists for other bounded Purushas, bound Purushas. So, the Prakriti is still existing. Therefore, it can be also postulated that it is Purusha Vishesha Sapeksha. It is Ishvara Sapeksha. Ishvara is going to take care of other bound souls, bound Purushas, unliberated Purushas. The Ishvara is going to still be serving them in the way they are to be served. So, it is also a kind of postulation that it is Purusha Vishesha Sapeksha. That means Ishvara Sapeksha. And this here is the endorsement with Vedanta. Vedanta of Upanishads. That Prakriti is Ishvara Sapeksha by implied purport and not explicit in Patanjali's text or Patanjali system, but it is implicit that it is Purusha Vishesha Sapeksha, and this is endorsement to the Vedanta of Upanishads or classical Vedanta, not the Sampradayika Vedanta, Neo-Vedanta, particularly the Mayavadins. So, now we have to understand here by what is called as Hanam of Purusha, that is Kaivalyam of Purusha. There is Svarupa Prapti. There is a Svarupa Pratishtha. And in that case, the Prakriti ceases to exist for such a person. Now, Bhasyakara mentions here, Swarupahanat asya nashaha praptaha na tu vinashyati. Although it is destroyed, it is not absolutely destroyed. The drishya is not absolutely destroyed, although destroyed. It is destroyed with reference to that one Viveka Prapta Yogi accomplished in Bhoga Apavarga, because its Swarupa is lost. And therefore, with reference to the microcosmic Prakriti, it is gone. It is lost. However, macrocosmic Prakriti, it is not lost. It is still there. So this is the position of Patanjalas. So when the Purusha attains Svarupa Jnanam, Vivekakhyati, the drishya is destroyed. Then, if Prakriti is also declared to be destroyed, then Prakriti is not Nitya. Because Patanjalas on one hand are mentioning Prakriti Nityatvam. So, therefore, in order to put right this position, there comes a sutra to put the position very, very precisely. And that is the Sutra 2.22. The point is that Prakriti is said to be destroyed. Drishyam is said to be destroyed with reference to Viveka Prapta Yogi who has accomplished Bhoga Apavargarthata. Then if you say it is lost, then Prakriti should not be considered as eternal principle, but you hold it as eternal as well. Prakriti, Purusha both are eternal. And on one hand you say it is eternal, on the other hand you say stand destroyed. What is this? Is there no confusion? Is there no mix-up? So in order to put that right, Patanjali comes out with a sutra 2.22. Krutartham pratinashtam api anashtam tadanya sadharanatvat. So here comes a postulation which mentions the possibility of liberation, freedom from Prakriti, at the same time eternality of Prakriti. So a wonderful kind of postulation has come up. So by this postulation there is moksha nityatvam. Once the moksha is attained, it is attained forever. It is not time bound. It doesn't have date of expiry. Once the freedom is had, liberation is had, mukti has had, then it is timeless. But in that case, is the whole Prakriti gone? The macrocosmic Prakriti is still there. This is the arrangement in Adhyatma and Paramartha. And that is being postulated. So the teleological principle is now being introduced in another dimension, that it is eternal. Prakriti is eternal. But yet, it is not to be posited or held that the conjunction will be constant. With regards to microcosm, the Purusha can get liberated, and once gets liberated, Prakriti would be not touching for any time, all time, forever. So, it doesn't exist on one hand. It doesn't exist, but still it is eternal. Now, how to really reconcile with this? And therefore, the 2.22 sutra is coming up. So, in the teleology, if there is purpose, it is there. If there is no purpose, it won't be there. So, it will never be a parasite. Despite no purpose, it is lingering. Or despite no purpose, it is still as a parasite existing. This will not happen. Mukti is possible, plausible. And once the mukti is had, the mukti won't be revoked. It doesn't have date of expiry. It is for eternality, absolutely. So, the point is, in teleology, all this, the Prakriti which is heya tattva, class of heyam, not the class of upadeyam, but class of heyam, it should not be questioned as that why should it exist. If it is to be discardable, it should have been pre-arrangement of the creation that it is discardable and therefore not there. So now it tells us that it will certainly leave that Purusha free. Purusha Tattva will be left free for all times. It will never touch it once the purpose is served. Because serving the purpose is its soul, center, intrinsic and core aspect. When the core aspect is gone, it won't exist. But yet it exists. Why? Purusha sadharanatvat, anya Purusha sadharanatvat. The other beings are not liberated, therefore it will exist. So it doesn't exist, yet it exists. So there is no contradiction here. So one more aspect of teleology is to be taken note of, that when we saw this position held by some of the prima facie view, that why at all the Prakriti came into existence, it would have been better without it. But then if that is not there, you won't get Vivekakhya, because you won't get either, not only not bhoga, if you don't get bhoga at all, you won't get even apavarga. Now you need that apavarga. Apavarga is absolutely acceptable. Upadeya, atyantika upadeya. Now that is also an endowment of drishyam. So you can't say it is totally dispensable entity. Because that is only going to give you Vivekakhyati. That is only going to give you the final means of liberation. And therefore, it is also playing a positive role. There is apavarga dayakata and bhoga dayakata. It can give bhoga in the form of sukha dukkha moha. It can also give you apavarga. And therefore, it has been made clear in one of the sutras that is going to follow. That for the drashta to know its essential self or in an essential condition, you need assistance of drishyam. Because drishya is only going to give you apavarga. Swaswami shaktyoho swarupopalabdhi hetuhu sanyogaha. The conjunction has taken place for both the purpose, either to give bhoga or to give apavarga, and therefore the prakriti is there. Without prakriti there won't be sanyoga. Without samyoga there won't be swarupa jnanam. And without swarupa jnanam there won't be moksham. And therefore the teleological dimension that we need to consider here, that everything has a purpose, everything has a positive purpose as well. Because of our ignorance and avidya, we get the negative effect of it. So anyway, we are considering the teleology. Now we are going to sort out that seeming contradiction that Prakriti is destroyed at the same time not destroyed. What is this double tongue? It's not double tongue. That's how we have to understand the mysterious reality, which we will be looking at when we go to the Sutra 2.22. But that is in the next session. Namaskar all of you.